here for our community and speak about what you know.
There's a book I'm reading, the author had this quote. He said, in certain arenas, I offer expertise, in others I offer something much deeper. So, I know y'all will bring that to this audience. One of the things we've discussed is how to have a conversation that is centered around HR, but also has this intersection of obviously being black and obviously being a woman. Let me make sure I'm clear on the questions. Let's back up. In order to hopefully optimize this conversation and actually be intentional about the relationships in here, we started with 3 community agreements. And I do want to ask if anyone has suggestions, but as we look here, the agreements as they stand are 1, not everyone knows it all, but together we know a lot. Hopefully that speaks for itself. None of us are experts. We all have to do this as a collective. The next one is critique ideas, not people. I always say I come to these conversations with a certain level of grace, right? You might look up here at me and say, wow, they know a lot. But if this was 5 years ago, if this was 10 years ago, if this was 15 years ago, that might not be the idea that comes to your mind. The next one is hard for people to wrap their heads around at times, but respect a lack of closure. Hopefully that speaks for itself. All right, let's get into the questions. So I'll ask the question and it's open for anyone to respond. The first one we have, how did you get into HR? And what keeps you in the field?
So I started my career. There we go. I started my career in the federal government.
Cut out again.
Cut out again? Oh, there we go. Okay, well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I started my career in government, right? So I was writing policy for like the federal air marshals, the secret police that are on planes, those people. Writing policies for them, operational policies, and that jump-started this this interest to figure out how people are supposed to be in the workforce. From there, I left that job and started a photography company. Right? Right? And in that job, I was hiring photographers. I was hiring photographers all over the world. I was dealing with contractors. I was managing the entire back end of the business. And learning how to, when to have tough conversations with folks, learning how to give feedback. And from there, I went back into the government, DC government. And that was my first HR role as an HR advisor. But I already had this experience of managing and taking care of people in the workforce. So that was a beautiful transition into DC government. And taking care of 600 people who were taking care of the DC community. And I realized in that role, though I love the work that I do, I really was unable to solve these people problems creatively. I was stuck in the box, under the red tape, behind the red tape of, what you would think was, government, city government. And every decision that I made, every move that I made would end up in the Washington Post. Because I worked so close to the DC mayor. And so I decided I can't do this. I need to be in a field where I can still take care of the people, but I can treat people as people. I'm sorry. And through life's journeys, I ended up in Portland, Oregon at Wyden and Kennedy. And there is where I got to really transform what HR was and could be, especially in a field where you're dealing with creative folks. And it was great. So I my career was not linear into HR. I didn't go to school for HR. I have an MBA and a bachelor's in business, but I didn't go to school for HR. But I was always one to take care of people, and I picked that up in every role that I had.
Yeah, I didn't go to school for HR either. I feel like a lot of people, I kind of fell into HR. It just like showed up one day and I was in HR. I went to school to be a history teacher, and I thought that that was my path, and the economy changed and my path became HR. It was definitely not something that felt intuitively a good fit for me. I don't consider myself like HR, like Karen from HR, or, you know, I don't feel like I was that type of person, but I feel like we all have that image now, but it actually became obviously kind of my life's work, because I felt like, and the second question, what keeps me here, is that it's a really important and intimate intersection between people's professional and personal life. And you hold this like tether where you hold their personal information, you know their kid's social security number. You are intimately involved in both parts of their life, and I think that's really important. And I feel like if people like me are not in the profession, that I like to think of myself as empathetic and employee focused, then I worry about the profession. So I wanted to be that kind of person.
So similar, I don't have a degree in HR either. For me, it was a combination of somebody seeing something in me and also a life-altering event that I needed to pump the brakes and reevaluate where I was in my life and my career. So my background is advertising, accounts, media, sales. I fell into it after college because they gave me an internship. I was like, cool, I'll take it. But the common thread that I've realized throughout my career was people, and whether it's helping developing them, whether it's helping out with connecting with somebody, it was always the people. And so when I had a life-altering situation with my family occurred, and I took a step back and quit my job and had no plans. My dad kind of freaked out and moved to New York. And it was that point that I realized I was running from something that I didn't know what it was. And it took my best friend calling me and being like, I think you need to come back to LA and actually just take a step and figure out what you need to do in your life and what your purpose is. So I came back. I mean, luckily my partner was still available, so I came back. And I really started looking into HR because people kept poking me and being like, I feel like that's the space you need to be in because you're passionate for people. And I took a year off from work. Money was going out, not coming in. But I networked and I met folks, and I had a conversation with Tia. And when I got here, she was gone.